If Superman was real, I guarantee he wouldn't be a cowardly keyboard warrior. Because when he had a problem with somebody, he addressed it the right way.
General? Would you care to step outside?
Now look at this badass. Would you invite him to step outside with you? Prime One Studios, 1/3 scale, General Zod in his house. This is a piece that I've wanted for a very long time, ever since they first teased it. I forget which con it was, but I remember seeing videos of it, probably on Cisco's channel. And I ordered them right away. I went exclusive, which we'll talk about, and then they threw me with like a $500 or $600, I think even more, shipping bill, and I said, oh, hell no, and I ended up canceling it. Well, then, instead of having hashtag restraint, I actually had hashtag regret for quite a while. And then Prime One Studios, which is the manufacturer of this, they had a winter sale. I believe it was in January of 2021, maybe December, I can't remember. And they said, you know what, we're going to do 10% off, and we're going to give you triple reward points, which essentially means once you buy this, you get a whole bunch of money towards future purchases. So I said, what the hell? I used some points. I bought it. He's finally here. Kind of a spoiler in the review today. He is glorious. He's absolutely amazing. He's everything I hoped he would be.
Hey, that's what she said.
Now, Zod, if you're not familiar who that is, that's kind of Superman's arch nemesis, or one of many of Superman's arch nemesis. He's a fellow Kryptonian. He's a general from the planet Krypton. And this is the comic version of him, which most people, especially my age, while even if you were into Superman comics, you know him very well from the movie adaptations of him. Specifically, the one from last century. Yeah, crazy to believe that that was a century ago. And then the newer one from the 21st century. While those individuals had a lot of same characters and traits as the comic version, today we're going to focus on this statue, and like I said, it's amazing for so many different reasons. Now, I plan to put this next to Prime One Studios' Hush Superman, this piece right here, and then eventually when their Lobo piece arrives, which I think should be in the next month or two, we're going to put him on the other side. But what I really like about this piece is you have a lot of different display options, and all of them kind of capture that badass General Zod. So General Zod, as I said, he was the general. He kind of rose to power in not a traditional way. And he's kind of known as a ruthless guy. He really does care about the Kryptonian species, which now is extinct. But he doesn't use the most effective means to show that. Now, since he was Kryptonian, he actually had the same powers of Superman while he was on Earth, with a few differences. So first of all, he hadn't been on Earth as long, and he hadn't learned to control the powers. So Superman had a slight edge over him regarding that. However, since he was a general and trained in military tactics, that gave him a little bit of an edge over Superman. And because of this, he was pretty arrogant. You know, he wanted to rule, he wanted to be in charge, and he kind of let his vanity get to the best of him, something I can definitely sympathize with. So, and I love what they've done with this statue, so let's talk about that, and we'll start with the concept of this piece, which to me is pretty incredible. So you have this base, it's a small sub-base, almost a museum style. They have General Zod's symbol. You know how Superman has a symbol that means hope. This is General Zod's symbol. And it looks like a Kryptonian type structure. So it's not the ice structure, but it's metallic. On top of that, you have some damaged building or concrete. You see some rebar or post-tension cables sticking out of the back. And then also on top of that, you have a Superman statue. So yes, it's a statue of a statue. But it's a monument to Superman that he has destroyed, which is awesome. I love that tie-in to it. And he's standing on top of it. Not only is he very victorious, but purposefully standing right on top of it, but he is in his awesome comic suit. So just like Superman, he kind of had his own suit. And you'll see this one right here. There's a few different variations we can do when we get to the design portion. But not only is he looking victorious, but he is looking fierce. And this doesn't matter which switch out options you have. They all show a fierceness in their own way. So it really makes him this villain, this evil guy. I absolutely love it. I think Prime One Studios knocked it out of the park. They took the comic version of Zod. They did a few of their own interpretations on it. And it is a wow. So concept, if I want a General Zod, this is it. Dude, this is, I think I just called you dude. This is a 5 out of 5 for sure when it comes to the concept. Now, honestly, with the design, there's a lot of really cool options as well. But before we look at those, let's look at the unboxing and assembly. Came with 2 very large boxes, which is why shipping was so expensive, we'll talk about later. Very cool art box, as Prime 1 Studios generally does. The standard white foam. Now here is the first layer. It contained the base, a few arms to the base, a few other miscellaneous pieces, and then here it is without the wax paper. Now the other box had a compartment on the bottom where the cape and necklace is, which we're going to talk about. And then here is the other layer. You can see it's mostly General Zod and a few switch out options. Alright, now before we forget, let's do the dimensions. Now the widest point, if that's the front, is probably about 18 inches or so. Then the deepest point, also on the base, is about the same, maybe a little bit more. He's a tall son of a bitch, as most 1/3 scale pieces are. Right a little over 32 and a half, or about 32 and a half or so. Now as I talked about, tons of display options. So let's look at those. First on the left hand, you can have his left hand down to the side. I quite like that. But I also quite like when he's holding it up like this, saying, "Gimme some, baby." Now he has a cape you saw me putting together. His cape is a nightmare, but you can display it with the cape right here. And then here's a picture without the cape. Now I like both versions, but the cape and the large posable wires inside of it are so difficult to work with, and it has that weird ass necklace right here. I just do not dig it at all. I think it actually makes it worse. Honestly, I wish it wasn't a posable cape. It was a cape that just fell. I think they would have been much better off. But he has 2 portraits because this is the exclusive version. So here's the regular version that comes with all the statues, and this is pretty cool. Until you see the exclusive, and then you're like, oh damn, this is an exclusive or bust. Now don't get me wrong, the regular version is fantastic, but once you see the exclusive, you almost want to have that for sure. Also with the monument, Superman's head can either be inserted into it, or they have a separate one where you insert a broken off piece and you lay the other head somewhere on the base. So I think this and then switching out the arm will be the final way I display him. I think I'm going to put the cape and that stupid necklace back in the box. But I'll keep the other portrait out too because I think that would be nice. So lots of switch out options. Very cool design. Everything fit together really well. So normally I would give it a 5 out of 5, but the cape was such a pain in the ass, I think it knocks it down to a 4 out of 5, which is still a fantastic score. Now regarding the paint and sculpt, we're going to look at a close-up video here, but as a spoiler, it's really good, and it's always really good with Prime 1 Studios, so that shouldn't be a shock to you. Now before we get to Zod, let me show you a few of the things here. Let me show you just close-ups of that rubber necklace. Again, not a fan of this at all. Doesn't look like rubber, but trust me, it is pure rubber. And then same with the seal they have on the cape. So here's the cape. You can see how large the posable wires are. And because it's this felt material, which is nice, don't get me wrong, it's easily going to pick up little white specks. So I think a big mistake on that. Let's look at the regular portrait first. Like I said, this is done so well. I like the darkness around the eyes, the skin tone. Now this little knob right here, that's because that's how he inserts into the statue. See that? But I think they did a great job with the hair slicked back. And his expression, just really, really well done. The details in his eyebrows. Look at the dried lips. And the fierceness on that expression. So this one, really the big difference is he's showing his teeth, baring his teeth, and the teeth look fantastic, even though he does have a perfect set there. And he has the laser vision eyes, or the heat vision, which just makes it even more fierce. Really looks like a pissed off guy. So let's start at the top here and just go down. The armor looks fantastic. It's a mix of gray and black with mostly black in it, and I like how there's layering on it, and then that gold helps accentuate the statue. It almost looks like a robotic armor. You see the gauntlets around his hands here, and then the gloves. Now there's a bright light really close to this showing on it, which accentuates some of those details even more. And there's some scars on this too, so it's not brand new armor. Some scars across his symbol. Like I said, that's kind of his house symbol, I believe. You can still see a little bit of anatomy beneath this, like on the biceps right there. So it's this leather type material. You see a little bit over here, the layering on top of the ribs. Let's swing to the back really quick. And then I assume this is, like 5 stars like we have in the Army in the States. But even more like robotic layered plates on the back look great. And then as you move down, you start to see some material that almost looks like it has this dotted pattern on it. It does have this dotted pattern on it, but that's why it looks like that. And then you see a little bit of folds, so that's kind of neat. Just all those little tiny details, like I wouldn't have noticed if there weren't folds right there. Really impressive. And this is a pure black color to really offset against the other, grayish black colors they have. I know that sounds weird, but this package is kind of small, but then there's a different material right here, and almost I think it needs to be cleaned a little bit. I wasn't touching his junk. Now I am. So moving down again, some more layering on the boots, and I think all these gold accents really help mix it up so it's not too dark of a statue. Look at the combat futuristic boots he has. This patterned texture on the side, it's just fantastic. They did a really great job with Zod. You can see on the shoulder pads, it's this red color, which really helps bring out the symbol even more. Let's look at the base. So the Superman statue is okay. It looks like what it would probably look like in real life. It's just not as detailed. I like how the Superman head has a gash through it. Now it does on the other one as well that hasn't fallen off, but you can see some wear and cracks in it. The Superman symbol on the back. Now this is more of a gray color, where the concrete is a black with spots of brown all over it. And then you see, like I said, some of those cables sticking out. Really good job. I like how the leg is broken here. Again, it just contrasts really well with the rest of the statue. And then finally, the sub base down here. Like I said, kind of makes me think of a futuristic Kryptonian aspect, maybe a ship. They have these symbols on the sides of them, then this layering. So overall, just very impressed with this piece, both the paint and sculpt. It really pops. They did a fantastic job with the detail. I can't really find too many flaws, if any. All right, let's start with the paint. Love the paint on every level. There is a lot of dark colors on here, but I still think it contrasts nicely with the gold and red and then the silvery base on the bottom. I think the paint, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5 for a factory paint job. I'm really impressed with it. I think they did an excellent job. Sculpt isn't far behind. Sculpt is definitely a 4 or a 5 out of 5. Looking at the intricate details within Zod and the portraits especially, I think I got to give a 5 out of 5 on the sculpt as well. I'm really glad that I wasn't that disappointed with the piece because the price was quite a bit. So price on him was $1,150, $1,150. The regular version, which they made 300 of, they made 250 of. The exclusive was $50 cheaper. So they made $550 total, which is a low ES. And the issue really wasn't the price, even though the 1/3 scales, especially for a more simple one, is going higher and higher in price. They used to be around $800, $900, $1,000. But the shipping, because it was those 2 large boxes that you saw, I want to say the economy, the cheap method of shipping was $300 or $400. Like I said, I did get triple rewards, so that's nice. That means I got like $170 store credit for something else. I also had like $600, $700 in reward points, and then 10% off. But because I was able to get the exclusive, which is very hard to get in the States, I think the value will hold. However, I don't know if it's going to be phenomenal. I do venture to say this is the best Zod statue that will ever be made in the 1/3 scale. I'm not worried about anyone making a better one. So I think I can get my money back. I think because I have the exclusive, I'm not counting the points I used or anything or the rewards. I think the value is still a 4 out of 5 for the exclusive. The regular, I would just say it's a 3 out of 5. Now, does this bitch have the X factor? And I wouldn't call him a bitch to his face. That's why he's facing you. Of course it does. This is a 5 out of 5 statue. I cannot wait to see what he looks like in my setup. If you want to see what that looks like, check out the Extreme channel, Instagram, Facebook, and or TikTok. I recently got on TikTok. I just started on there. But absolutely love it. Big fan of this piece. Met my expectations for sure. Thank you, Prime One Studios. Really appreciate you guys watching. Hit me a like on the way out. Do me a favor or subscribe by punching that picture of me and then hitting that bell notification. Or leave a comment. That helps as well. Talk about anything. Talk about my hair. Talk to you tomorrow. Or the next day. For sure. I'm confused.